Okay, gonna go over the trade I took today, November 3rd. I started the day, we'll start on it's Monday, so we'll start on the weekly here. The weekly doesn't really give me much. I did mark out the previous weekly high as a potential target, considering we just keep pumping higher. It's interesting to note that the previous weekly low is a devil's mark candle. There's no wick underneath there, so I mean, we're a ways away from it at this point, but as if we do trend closer to it, it makes sense that we would come fill this gap, and also, obviously becomes more of a magnet with the devil's mark. On the daily time frame, you see we tapped into the daily fair value gap here on Thursday and then Friday of last week. Bounced clearly with the open on Monday/Sunday night. And we still have not taken the previous daily high, which was my target for the session if we were going to be bullish. That was my first target. And you can see we did not take it. We didn't take it on ES either. So it just happened to be, like, there wasn't an SMT. It just didn't take it. So we're kind of just consolidating now, as you can see on the higher time frame on the daily. We'll see where we go next. Right now we have an inside bar candle because we haven't taken previous daily high or low. But again, I came in bullish because we're reacting off of this daily fair value gap nicely. We hadn't taken the previous daily high yet. And of course, we just keep pumping the all-time highs. So that makes sense to be bullish. Now, as you can see, we made equal highs at the previous daily high here on the 4-hour. We're still respecting this 4-hour fair value gap here. We'll see how we end up closing at 1 o'clock. But my buy that I took, my long, was based off of this 4-hour being tapped into. So bullish 4-hour fair value gap being used here as confirmation to potentially long from. Also used a 1-hour fair value gap, this one. And I think I entered post 11 a.m., I think. So this candle had inverse this 1 hour already, so we weren't respecting this 1 hour anymore, but we had this 1 hour here and we were respecting the 4-hour. So anyways, I wanted buys from there, especially since we had not taken the previous daily high. And also, if you go to the 15-minute, my target was this 15-minute fair value gap here that we had yet to fill and tap into, and there was nothing else aside from that to go towards if you were longing. Now we also swept London low. I don't know if we swept Asian low. We didn't sweep Asian low. That would have been nice to see for Confluence, because we did create these relative equal lows here that right at the gap. So, makes the trade a little bit riskier for sure. Wish we would have at least swept the low of Asia and tapped in a little bit to this gap. We didn't do that. However, because we swept London and because we were respecting the 4-hour and the 1-hour fair value gap, I was looking for longs. Now, I looked at the 5-minute here, got an inversion. So once we got this inversion, I entered with a market order because I just felt it was close enough to what my limit entry would be. And I wasn't sacrificing a 1-to-1 because I was still going to get the 1-to-1 at the 15-minute here. And so, as you can see, enter with a market order, and we just end up chopping around. However, I luckily am not in this chop because my break even was this next 5-minute here. So you see we just barely tapped it, and we reacted so well off of it if you're wanting to short from it, or we reacted extremely well from it. And at this point, I was break even. So when it came back down with the same candle that tapped it, I was out. So within a minute of us hitting that, I was essentially out of the trade, break even. Took this on a funded account of mine and also 3 evals that I am copy trading. So yeah, that was the trade. That was the setup. It was really the only thing I saw today that fits my model. And yeah, I assume the rest of the AM session is probably just going to chop around here. We'll probably continue lower, in my opinion, especially since we didn't get that we didn't continue expanding to the upside after we swept London, we'll most likely end up now coming back towards these equal lows right here and fill the gap. That's my best bet. But we shall see. That was the trade I took today. So I'll quickly show the executions. So here is the execution, right? So if you go to the 5 minute, you'll see again. So I did end up entering with one contract by mistake on the evals that I have, because I try to risk a full percent on the evals and 0.5% on my funded. So I risked 0.5% on my funded, which was one contract. So when I did that, I just entered with one contract, not thinking on the combines here. And so after I noticed, I re-entered when we started reacting nicely off of this fair value gap. I entered for a second contract. And yeah, that is the setup, the trade, the executions. This is the funded that I entered with just one contract. Again, you can see I got out of that candle at break even. And I got out here on this candle because my entry was a bit lower. So I was able to stay in this trade for a bit longer on the combines. That just happened because of the market entries I took. But yeah.